Welcome to Keystone Curiosity, where we explore the life, land, and culture of my beloved home state. Pennsylvania has something to offer everyone, and is living proof that the world is a beautiful place. You just need to take the time to find it. Morning. I'm KC. This is Keystone Curiosity, and in case you can't pay attention to an intro, it's where we talk about all things unique to the state of Pennsylvania. Today's episode is going to be about the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. Pine Creek Gorge sits just north of Williamsport on the 160,000 acres of Tioga State Forest.
Originally named TIOGA, or Land of the Pines, by the Seneca Indians, American settlers would give it a new name, the Pine Creek, for, well, similar reasons really.
The primeval forests of the gorge were densely packed with eastern white pine, hemlock, and a variety of hardwoods.
You see, there's something you need to understand about the forests of colonial America. They were not the thin and bright and airy places that we know today. Instead, oftentimes they were very dark and densely forested by the fact that they had never been harvested and thousands of years of development had left the trees 3 to 6 feet thick in some places.
It was this unexploited wealth of resources that drew the lumber industry of the fledgling United States. A single acre of the forest in the gorge would produce around 100,000 board foot of white pine and some 200,000 board foot of hemlock and hardwood.
As a comparison, 1 acre today will end up producing an average of a mere 5,000 board foot.
The 150-foot tall pine trees were particularly prized as ship's masts, so much so that they had been selectively harvested. This ended in 1865, when the last raft of pine logs was floated down the river. With the pine trees exhausted, the companies looked elsewhere for their profit margins, and began the process of clear-cutting all trees for lumber, one tract at a time. With a massive amount of timber being harvested, log jams on the creek presented problems that eventually led to the construction of the Jersey Shore, Pine Creek, and Buffalo Railway, which followed the creek along the gorge. By 1896, the daily traffic of the rails would see 3 passenger trains and more than 7 million tons of freight. Shortly after the turn of the century, the old-growth forests had been clear-cut, leaving nothing but scrubby brush and stumps. Floods became common, and without the roots of the trees to hold it in place, landslides occurred frequently. Sparks and embers from the passing trains would often ignite the barren landscape, further destroying what little life remained. But that is not what we see today. The conservationist movements of the early 1900s, combined with the Civilian Conservation Corps that was formed during the Great Depression, brought about massive change. The members of the CCC would fight forest fires, plant trees, and create many state parks all across the Commonwealth. They preserved what remained of Pine Creek Gorge and worked to restore the land to a healthy habitat. Eventually, they reintroduced deer, elk, beaver, and many other native wildlife to the forests. River otters were brought back to the gorge in 1983. By 1990, the land had healed enough for the majestic bald eagle to be seen flying throughout the gorge once again.
At the beginning of the 1900s, the desolation that had been left by the deforestation of the lumber industries, combined with the careless embers of the railroad, to earn the Pine Creek Gorge the unfortunate nickname of the Pennsylvania Desert. Thanks to the efforts of those who cared, today it goes by a different name, Pennsylvania's Grand Canyon.
The canyon as seen today draws visitors from all over, with the state parks welcoming 75% of their annual tourists in the beginning of October for the autumnal foliage. And having been there for this time of year, it's easy to see why. This place is absolutely breathtaking, with bursts of color exploding from the canopy all over the park. But don't think you're missing out by going at any other season. The parks have something to offer outdoorsmen of all sorts. The former foundations of the railroad now serve as paths for bikers and equestrians. Canoeing and kayaking is common in the spring and summer when the rains swell the creek waters, and hundreds of miles of hiking trails work their way throughout the gorge.
One of these trails, the Western Trail, runs from the southern terminus of Blackwell up to the northern terminus of Ansonia, some 30 miles away. This trek is one that goes through some of the most beautiful country that this state has to offer, and one that should not be missed by any backpacker or outdoorsman.
Now don't feel left out if that all sounds too sweaty for you. Leonard Harrison offers a small visitor center and a platform for easy access to a view of the canyon on the east side. On the west, Colton Point offers short trails and parking lots a few yards from beautiful overlooks. There's even a dirt road that runs along the west rim, allowing the pace of the forest to those with disabilities.
Being at around 2 hours from both Bloomsburg and State College, this is a bit further of a drive for most of the state. However, I myself didn't notice it that much, as my route took me through Route 54 and 15, which both wind their way through the beauty of the Appalachian Mountains. That being said, there is numerous options available as far as campgrounds, backpacking sites, and local inns for those who wish to make this more of a weekend trip. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. As per the usual, if you have any suggestions of where you'd like to see me go next, feel free to leave them in the comments below. In the meantime, hit that like and subscribe so that you can receive notifications about anything else near Pine Creek Gorge or all over the state of Pennsylvania itself. But in the meantime, y'all have a good one.